All right, you're listening to 10 Minutes With. Today we're lucky enough to have David Margulies, co-producer of High Sierra Music Festival for the better 20 years of the last 25. How you doing today, sir?
Doing great, thanks.
Great to see you today. It's good that you could take a little time to join us.
Thanks for coming to Ashland, Oregon.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. We got lucky, got a little bit of sun today. So I just want to start off by talking about your upbringing. Where are you from and where did you grow up?
I was born in Brooklyn, New York, spent the first 18 years of my life on the East Coast and mostly in New Jersey, and went down to New Orleans for college, moved back to New York in the early 80s, and worked in various aspects of the music business until I moved out west in 1989 and moved to San Francisco, and West Coast became my home.
Right on. How long have you been here in Ashland?
9 years since my son was 1. He's now 10.
Nice. He's a good-looking kid too. Let me tell you.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk about how you first got involved with High Sierra Music Festival.
I used to go as a patron. Loved the event, and you know, High Sierra we've always been a very lean and mean organization, and still to this day, we have street teams where we exit flyer at shows.
Right.
And I would run into my now business partner, Roy Carter, at shows. And at the time, I was doing A&R for Sony Music, so I was a talent scout. So it was my job to go out and scour the clubs for talent.
Finding good ones.
And go out to shows. So I would invariably see him.
What a great job.
In theory, it was a great job. In theory.
Right.
The system itself at Sony, not so much.
Right, I can agree there, probably.
But yeah, there's certainly some good stories there. But I would see Roy at every good show that I went to. And he'd be out there exit flyering.
Cool.
And I'd always get these High Sierra flyers. And one day I just said to him, I love what you guys do. I'd really like to work with you someday. And I gave him my card. The next day he called me and said, hey, if you're really serious about that, we should get together and talk.
Cool.
And so my other business partner, Rebecca Sparks, then Rebecca Udenfreund, and Roy and I met at Whole Foods in Berkeley.
Nice.
In 1995, and we came up with a plan for me to become part of the organization.
Awesome.
And I've been involved ever since.
That's amazing. That's New York, New Orleans. I mean, did you get that New Orleans music when you were down there? I mean, what did that do to you?
Sure, that's where it all formed within me. I mean, I was a huge music fan. I had an older brother growing up, so he turned me on to all of his music, all of his progressive jazz, the Return to Forevers and John McLaughlin, Mahavishnu Orchestra, and Grateful Dead and the Allman Brothers. Nice. And Bob Dylan and Led Zeppelin and all of that growing up. So I had that as a young kid, maybe 10, 11. And then I developed more of my own taste. But then when I moved to New Orleans, my whole world opened up and into the rhythm and blues, into the jazz, into the deeper roots of American music.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome. What was the first High Sierra that you were involved with, like?
From a work standpoint, 1995. It was in Bear Valley. I was really obviously brand new to the festival business, so I was going in there just with my eyes open and observing and seeing how things were done and watching how operations were, and it was a pretty ragtag organization 20 years ago. And,
I could imagine. I mean,
the
stage is what was it like?
Well,
who's the main line, headliner?
Probably the Radiators were one of the headliners that year. The Subdudes may have been one of the headliners that year in 1995. But you had inexperienced people well-intentioned and certainly serviceable, but not to the level of professionalism that we have today and that most music festivals do have, whether it's in their infancy or whether they're celebrating 25 years like we are. But
got to start somewhere, huh?
We had stage managers that were certainly a little bit more on the fan side than they were on the working side. Right?
I mean, how big was the stage compared to like now? Was it
Oh gosh,
a lot smaller of an operation?
Everything. Yeah. It's It's hilarious to think back and to see how far we've come.
And how did it end up going from there to Quincy?
We figured we'd go take a ride up to Bear Valley, see how the site's looking. Well, we go up to the site, there's 12 feet of snow.
Oh, wow.
In our music meadow.
And going on there.
And we arrive there, and the locals say to me and Roy, even if you get 5 weeks of 80-degree weather, it's going to be a soup bowl in here.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a lot of water and a lot of mosquitoes. That's if you get 5 days of hard sun, 5 weeks of hard sun continuously.
So weather, pretty much.
We went back to the office. Roy let his fingers do the walking, took out the yellow pages back then because there wasn't a Google.
Right.
And he started calling fairgrounds all across the state. And we found a great willing partner in Quincy, a gentleman by the name of Mike Clements, who was the fairgrounds manager, who became a great ally for us, went to bat with us and said, yes, you guys are welcome here. So 5 weeks out of the festival in 1998, we switched locations. So that was a huge curveball for everybody. Learning curve for staff, learning curve for patrons, because when you're going back to a place year after year, you learn the lay of the land and you know how to do it. So here we were in complete new territory. And we pulled it off. It was a great event, but we lost a lot of people. People were like, well, we went from 7,000 feet with beautiful, pristine alpine meadows and alpine lakes to 3,500 feet in the foothills of the Sierra and a fairgrounds.
So for a minute, it went back and forth for a couple years.
Well, in '99, we went back for a final year. We had widespread panic that year in Bear Valley, and then the climate in Bear Valley changed, and really we had decided we would be a lot better served by going back to Quincy full time.
Nice.
And we've been there ever since. So it's this is our 16th, I believe, our 16th festival in Quincy.
Right.
And since 2000 consecutively.
Nice.
Yeah.
A little bit of history. That's awesome to hear. This is the 25th year of High Sierra. How special is that for the people that have put it together? And
it's incredible to think that we've been at this for 25 years. And one of the beautiful things about High Sierra is the family that we have as our team.
Right.
And there are people who have been working with us, our core, some people all 25 years.
Wow.
Longer than I've been involved.
It becomes a huge
some
family,
people,
huh?
It is. And these are folks who are they block it out every year. It's their family reunion. That's what they call it. If they get a new employer, they're like, I'm not available July 4th, the week of July 4th. And everyone comes together, and we have such a remarkable team that there's very little spoken communication that needs to happen because everyone knows their role and knows what needs to be done.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's pretty
When it came to putting the lineup together for this year, the 25th, how did that sway you guys in any different way? I mean, were you more of going for a family theme, or?
Sure, there was talk about making this a legacy event and reaching back into the past 25 years and really spotlighting who has helped shape the festival. Right. Now, certainly, there's a lot more names than you have space to, because we also like to every year include some new faces.
Definitely.
Right? So we couldn't just make it all heritage and legacy.
Right.
But if you look at our lineup, certainly, most of the acts have a strong, rich history with High Sierra.
Definitely.
So we've got, maybe 20% new artists, new acts this year, but there's a huge number.
Because every year I go to High Sierra and I always hear something that I've never heard before and discover new music, and I love that. Tell us about the first time you heard the California Honeydrops.
The first time I heard of the California Honeydrops, a friend of mine, Doug Dirt, who plays in the Banana Slug String Band, I was in New Orleans, and he contacted me and said, hey, I've got some friends down here and they're looking for a gig. If you know of anybody who's having a crawfish boil or wants a band, my friends would be happy to play. And I got to see them for a moment down there and just loved them. Nice. And they're the ultimate festival band.
Yeah, they're the funnest band around.
So fun, so talented, so great.
And rooted in blues and gospel and New Orleans
soul.
And all that. It's the greatest music.
Yeah, they're
Can't wait to
wonderful.
see 'em.
So this will be their 4th consecutive year with us, and every year we do a little bit more with them. And
Are they going to
they're-
be hitting the late night show? Or are they going to be on the main? Or where are they going to be?
You'll just have to
Vaudeville?
find
I'll
out.
be
but
there. I'll just be running
I'm
around.
sure they'll be doing some late night. I'm sure they'll be doing some good pop-ups, and that's the beautiful thing about the
Yeah.
Honeydrops. They pop up everywhere.
They do. They're awesome. I want to talk about how many submissions do you usually get per year for bands to play? I mean, it's just overwhelming?
Yeah, it's hundreds. I mean, everyone wants to play the event. You know, in our loose formula, we like to rotate bands. We don't like to repeat too many bands, and because we have such a large stable of bands that have been part of the festival for so many years, and we like to bring those favorites back, and there's so many of them, as I said. But you just can't repeat yourself year after year. So
Definitely.
that's part of the magic formula in making it work. I'm bringing back a lot of acts that have made an impact from the year before or prior years.
The
and
Slip?
making room. Slip,
They're
for
coming
instance.
back.
The Slip
I
are
can see
coming
the
back.
excitement in your eyes.
The Slip are coming back.
That's
yeah,
pretty
certainly
cool.
one of my all-time favorite acts at
And
High Sierra.
it'll be their
ever.
13th?
13th High Sierra, I believe. Yeah, and they haven't played in a while. You know, the Barr brothers, Andrew and Brad, the guitar player. Brad, the guitar player, Andrew, the drummer, moved to Montreal and started their own band called the Barr Brothers, who will also be at High Sierra.
Oh, that's right. I've seen that on the list.
And their other band, Surprise Me, Mr. Davis, with Nathan Moore.
Yeah, Nathan Moore.
And Marco Benevento, which actually formed at High Sierra
Right.
as a workshop or play shop that we do. They'll be performing as well. But the Slip. I mean, this is it. This is like. It's a family band.
Right.
You know, it's High Sierra that they agreed to do it. I don't think they would agree to do it if it was just some other music
Right.
festival. But here, they know they can do no wrong.
Right.
And anything they do
after
is gonna
playing
be
there 12
appreciated.
years, I mean, that's got to be a rich history just inside of the family of their band. You know what I mean? That's
Well, show
kinda
up.
feel like
show
home.
up at their set. You'll see. You'll see.
I can't wait.
You'll feel the emotion. It'll be palpable there. How special
definitely.
that's going to be.
I'm looking forward to that. Let's talk a little bit about how High Sierra is different than all the other mainstream big festivals. You know, other than it's a smaller town, kind of like more of a small knit community. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. It's interesting in today's culture, festival culture, how seemingly bigger is better.
Right.
And you've got so many big festivals from Outside Lands and Coachella and Lock-In and Lollapalooza and on and on and on and on. And the whole European model that that has been embraced. And Bonnaroo, the original European American festival.
Right.
But that model works for them. We have always positioned ourselves as a mid-sized festival. Partially due to our home in Quincy.
Definitely.
And it's more about who we are too. I mean, these are the kinds of events that we like to go to.
Right.
And it calls in that value from people. So people know what they're going to get. They're not coming in looking for, Jay-Z to headline.
Right.
Or whatever it is. They're coming, they know, they trust that they're going to get some incredible music, but it's about the deeper experience. It's about being able to really land, really hang with your friends, have an easy time getting from stage to stage, have an easy time getting in, an easy time setting up. It's a very, very user-friendly festival.
It is. And I've been engulfed in that for the past, so many years, and every time I'm at High Sierra, just everyone's there is just happy. The people working. It's just a very good, positive state of mind every year that we're there. It's like that's more.
No, you hit the nail on the head. I say everybody brings their A game. Artists, vendors, volunteers, patrons. Everybody who comes is bringing their best self.
Definitely.
And that's what has made High Sierra for 25 years, because
Definitely.
It's nothing that's really ever been spoken about. It's just create that container and that intention, and it just organically happens.
Definitely.
So everything that's developed from High Sierra, most of the things that have developed from High Sierra have developed organically. It's not like we said, well, let's have a camp theme party
Definitely.
that says you guys make the crab cakes
Yeah.
and you guys do this, and
Right.
it just people
It's
just
very roots, for sure.
So that's what's made it. And,
Definitely.
And now it's got a life of its own.
It's a beautiful place. I appreciate it, man. I thank you for joining us, David Margulies. It was great to come up here to the beautiful town of Ashland and
Thanks for
talk with
having me.
you.